Dun, dun, dun. We're live. We're live. We're
We're
live.
live. We're live.
We're live too.
It's good to be live and alive.
Yes. Welcome everyone to Live from the Edge. I'm Bruce Gibson and
I'm Brandi Jekylla.
And we've got somebody else joining us. Justin, introduce yourself, please.
Hello, I'm Justin from Earl Grey. Glad to be here talking about a really good episode, I think.
Well, that's the end of the show. We know that Justin likes the episode.
Well, now there's nothing, no surprises left.
I know.
Well, I'm going to tell you why.
Maybe that's... Oh, good. See, we have to find out why you like the episode. So, yes, I'm so excited. We're reviewing episode 9 of Star Trek Discovery, and it's called Into the Forest I Go. And that's a quote from something.
From John Muir, actually. And into the forest I go to lose my mind and find my soul. I research these things.
Okay, I was just going to ask you, did you have to look that up or did you already know that?
No, I already knew, but I couldn't remember the full quote. And so I did look that part up. And John Muir was a really interesting guy because he was one of the first, well, he was Scottish. He was born in Scotland, but he lived most of his life in America. And he was really big on preservation. So a lot of national parks happened because of him. So way to go, John. And a lot of things are named after him too. So if there's a national monument or a national park or a lake or something named Muir, I'm pretty sure it was named after him.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people named John. So maybe they were all named after him.
You're just being difficult to be difficult, Bruce. I'm going to just start calling you
I'm
Scott.
not.
You're Scott now for the rest of the podcast.
Okay, that's a whole inside joke with Larry Nemechek. That's for another time.
All right.
Hey, so we already have people going on in the chat about some things, like Little Green Neighbor. It's 3 a.m, and they're staying up for us.
Oh wow! I'm so sorry.
3 a.m.
We need to make this worth it.
We have to have enough energy to keep them up.
Okay.
Him or her, I don't know if it's a boy or girl. I'm sure this person will let us know.
I'm sure you're right. So
I'm
yeah,
sure
we've got. I'm glad you're sure.
I'm very sure. So yeah, because the comment I read is on our YouTube page because the show is being broadcast live on video on YouTube. And if you're watching there, the link is in our tweets and Facebook posts. So if you're watching from there live, you can participate in the chat that's on the YouTube page, or you can even send us your comments and questions by tweet on Twitter and send it to @TrekFM with the hashtag #LiveTheEdge. That's hashtag #LiveTheEdge.
Yes. Oh, Little Green Neighbor is a she. Thank you for responding.
And thank you for staying up till 3 a.m.
Well, apparently it's our first time here, so welcome. Welcome, everybody. We've got a lot of people just jumping on as we speak, so welcome to everyone. All right, shall we get into this?
I think we shall. I'm very excited to talk about this episode because it is the fall finale, and then we have 7 weeks off. And so this has to get us through the next 7 weeks. And I think this whole thing really started off with a bang because, we had the ship of the dead coming to attack. And we were going to retreat. But, oh, no. Captain Lorca's like, no, we're too tough for that. We're going to head to Starbase 46. It takes about 3 hours at Warp 5. But as soon as that ship shows up, we're heading back with the Spore Drive. Be ready, people, because we're going to make it happen. That's my Lorca impersonation.
Works for me.
So what'd you think of that, how it started off? Like, I knew right away. I was like, okay, I can tell this is going to be a good one.
Yeah, I felt that it was going to be a good one as well. I don't know how I knew that, but I just was really excited, and my husband Dave was really excited. And so the episode actually was up before the allotted time. And so
It always is, actually.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I don't always check it. But I just went running in there at like 10 after and said, it's up, it's up, it's up. Come on, let's get this going. So, yeah.
Why did they put it up early but tell everybody it starts at 8:30 Central? I mean, Eastern.
I think they're just giving themselves a margin in case something goes wrong, to put it up there 20 minutes before. It's been about 20 minutes before, and something goes wrong, they have a little time to get it up there when they need to. That's what I think.
I think that is a smart assumption, because that would be, I mean, obviously, if they have trouble, they usually can lock it down, except for that one week where everybody had trouble but me.
Yes, I remember that. They called that the week everything went right except for Brandi.
For you, Bruce, that was the week where you had to wait as long as everyone watching on Netflix and the rest of the world.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
You poor dear. How did you do that? That's hard, man. It's hard.
I'll tell you what's hard is keeping up with all these comments on YouTube. My goodness, people. This is good. This is a good problem to have.
Yes, it is a good problem.
So we have Automated Joy, which is like you, Brandi. Automated Joy. This show feels like it reboots itself every few episodes, and somehow it works. I don't think I've ever seen a show do that before.
Well, you know what's interesting, Bruce? Like when I was thinking about this, I think it is a really good episode. There's a lot of intensity. It's a great cliffhanger. And I kind of compare it to the season 5 Deep Space Nine cliffhanger Call to Arms, where basically everything changed and you didn't even know what the show was going to be when it returned a couple months later in season 6, and they had a great arc around that. So I feel like it's doing something in the best tradition of that kind of resetting cliffhanger, where it's like, oh my goodness, we've been on this journey doing all of these things. We know where we're going. We're in the Klingon War and all of this, and all of a sudden we're somewhere else. We don't know where we're at. So I think it's really great in that kind of tradition of not knowing where you're going, which Star Trek's done a couple of times, but the one that comes to mind the most is the Deep Space Nine finale for season 5.
Yes, I agree completely. I hadn't thought of that correlation, but now that you've mentioned it, yeah, I can totally see how that changed everything as well. So,
yeah, because the whole premise of the show was you were on Deep Space Nine, and then after that finale, it was like, you're not. So what is this show anymore? Like, and for this, it's like they're in the Klingon War, and then they're taken out of it to who knows where. And what is this show anymore? I felt the same way, at least.
Yeah. Well, I love to be surprised by things, because when it comes right down to it, everything's been done before. It's just recombining the ingredients in a new way to make it fresh. And so when I get surprised by a show, that really, really excites me. And Discovery has done that time and time again. And it is not easy to surprise me anymore.
Yeah. Well, it's like this is a heavy action kind of, ending type season episode. But before that, it's more of a sentimental, character driven episode. And then before that, it was very more light and, different timelines and things going on. It's like each episode does feel different from the other. It's almost like I thought when we were going into Star Trek Discovery the first time that all the episodes would feel the same, like it was one big long movie just chopped up into 45-minute parts, but it really isn't playing out that way. Each episode has its own tone and feeling, even though telling an overall story arc through the whole thing.
Yeah, it really does. Although, like in tone, this one felt the most for me like Battle at the Binary Stars, because there's a big confrontation and there's some huge consequences to it at the end. So it felt like the most kind of like action oriented and intense since that one.
Mm-hmm. And Brian in the chat says it reminded him of the Undiscovered Country, where they conveniently had trouble preventing the Enterprise from following command's orders. There was a lot in this that reminded me of not just Undiscovered Country, but some of the other movies as well.
Yeah. Mr. Scott, I understand you're having trouble with the warp engines. There's nothing wrong with the bloody thing. Mr. Scott. It was just great. Anyway, there is so much to talk about that we may not even get to everything we probably want to talk about. So
we can come back for the next 7 weeks and keep talking about this episode, right?
Right. Let's just keep doing. Let's just keep broadcasting live. I don't think that's going to go over. Works for me though. I will say, Bruce, you mentioned last week that someone had told you that that episode would make you cry, and it didn't. This episode made me cry.
Oh, really? And then when did it make you cry?
When didn't it make me cry? No, actually.
So this was more cry of joy or sadness?
It was a mixture of things. I was really tense and upset during the, what was it, 136 jumps?
133.
33, however many there were. There were a lot. See, I get them within a few always.
Yeah, you're getting close.
I'm getting close. I'm sort of hitting the mark. And when he was just starting, when his heart rate was so high and she was getting upset, and yeah, I was like crying during that part because that was just the only thing I could do. It's like, I can't do anything about this. So the tears were coming out of my eyes. And also, when Ash had his breakdown, when he saw Laurel, that was extremely upsetting for me. And it's a horrible thing to watch someone go through PTSD, because it is just, there is so hard to comfort someone when they're going through that, because they're not there anymore. They're in another place. Mm-hmm. So there was crying then.
Yeah, and I think he did. Shahzad Latif did an amazing job of projecting that, because he's been keeping up kind of this facade for 4 episodes or something like that, and then just see it crack, and he does it in a way that's so effective. Yeah, it was really something.
It was amazing. And then when they finally all make it back onto the ship, like when Burnham is basically bye and jumps off the ledge and is transported in mid-jump, the relief that I felt, I was just crying from the relief. Because, I don't know what's going to happen.
I don't know what's going to happen. I had this weird thought in the back of my head when she was fighting Cole. I was like, they couldn't possibly do something crazy like try to kill her right here, would they? I'm relieved that they didn't. I think that would be very unlikely. But this is the kind of show where you don't know something like that could happen,
Mm-hmm. Imagine if that did. I mean, I wouldn't even know where this show's going.
Exactly.
Burnham was dead.
Exactly. But
I don't know.
Yeah, I think that they really, I think there are some things that they're not going to do, at least for a while, and that's one of them. But there was a thought in the back of my mind, like, as it played out, like, what would that be like if that happened?
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad it didn't.
Yeah, I'm glad it
didn't either. Character.
Yeah. I'm looking here in the chat, and John West, or is it John was, anyway, Stammet Colbert teared up for me a few times.
Mm-hmm.
That relationship was definitely emotional, and we had our first kiss. I don't mean just first kiss, our first gay kiss ever in Star Trek.
And it, often I don't feel convinced by 2 men. Well, that's not true. Because I've seen many shows, movies, etc., where there are same-sex relationships and there is kissing, and it's not always convincing to me, but this was absolutely convincing to me.
I think these actors have been wanting to do this for a while.
I'm sure that they have, but
they have great chemistry too. I mean, I saw them on After Trek. I don't know if it was last week or the week before, and they're great together. You can really believe that there's something there. I think what you're saying, Brandi, is that sometimes it looks forced.
Yes.
And this didn't seem forced at all.
No, it seemed like the absolute most natural, wonderful, beautiful thing to do. And that made me cry. I was just like, oh, it shouldn't be this big of a moment, but it is.
I think that they were saying that the previous one would make you cry so that they could surprise you with this one and make you cry instead.
Well, I rewatched last week's episode 8, and I felt a little more emotional I think because the
Mhm.
first time I was going in, I was like, when is it? When is it? When is it? When am I going to feel it? When am I going to feel it? And now it was just like, okay, I'm not even thinking that.
Yeah, and you can't really anticipate it. Something like that,
Right.
it has to just like come and kind of surprise you, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and Stamets, he was scared. He was really scared to do all of those jumps, and you could just see it, but he knew it had to be done.
He was, but that last jump,
Oh, Lord.
do you think he was really scared? Okay, so I'm starting to wonder if, I know we're jumping to the end, but when Stamets goes and does the last jump and says, okay, Cobra, I'm going in, and he gives him a look right before the jump, and I can't
Yeah.
tell if it's a look of love to him or if it's just like, I'm getting ready to send us someplace that you're not expecting.
Well, I
Hmm.
don't know that he intended that at all.
I don't either.
No,
Because
did you guys see what oh no, go ahead.
no, I was just going to say probably what you're about to say.
Okay,
You're
go
going to
ahead.
talk about the screenshot, right?
Yeah, Go ahead.
Go ahead. You go ahead.
Okay. Oh no, one of the listeners pointed out in our Facebook group, the Babel Conference, that if you take a look at what Lorca's doing right before the last jump when he's inputting some coordinates, it says between the last two jumps that there's an override by Lorca G, and the destination is unknown. So Lorca is actually overriding the coordinates to go to the starbase and take them who knows where. I don't know. Maybe he wants to, take a joyride to one of those alternate universes he was talking about before, or he's from there or whatever. But yeah, it seems like it's intentional by Lorca, which I totally missed before.
Yeah, I totally
this listener
missed that
pointed
too.
it out.
I didn't know it was pointed out. This is the first time hearing it, but because I rewatched it a second time just before the show, I do remember seeing a close up of him hitting the buttons on his.
Yeah, but take a look and pause it there. It says that he's done an override on the jump, and the destination is unknown.
Yeah. Was it his way of forcing Stamets to keep being the navigator of the spore drive, do you think?
I don't know, or if like by that point, have they taken Cornwell off the ship and she's off to some medical facility, or she's not still on the ship, right?
No,
they
they
said
took
that
her
she
off. Yeah.
They took her off, right? So my thought was also like he's just trying to, I don't know what, get away or avoid her, but it seems like a bad plan.
Yeah, and was anybody surprised that Cornwell was alive? I wasn't.
Well, I thought.
Well, there you go.
When I saw the episode, what was it before this one? I thought, yeah, she's definitely alive, and then I just had some doubt. But I'm so happy she is, because how amazing is Cornwell that she's basically like paralyzed from the waist down. She's comforting somebody with PTSD and holding off Klingons with the phaser. Like, wow, what an amazing character.
Yeah, she is a bad ASS.
Okay, I'm glad you said that, not bad admiral, because we've had enough.
No,
of those.
she's not. She is not a badmiral. Not a
Right.
badmiral, and it's so refreshing. And I love the character. I love Jane Brooke. All hail Jane Brooke. Please come back for many more episodes, please. Not that they can have an admiral on all the time, but gosh, I really like her. So, yeah. Let's talk about that ending then, because something goes horribly wrong with the jump, and it ended up being incomplete. And if you were watching the visual effects, when the whole sort of corkscrew thing happens, usually what happens is the Discovery drops, and then it drops into wherever it is next. Mm-hmm. This time there was a ship going up and there was a ship going down.
Yeah, it looks like there's a duplication somehow.
Yeah. Either that or just going into another reality. I can't say for sure. But I really want to know. If you wanted me to come back, you've certainly got my attention, but you've had my attention the whole time.
They're just making it worse for you.
It's okay. It's okay. I'll forgive them. I'll forgive them as soon as it starts up again. But then what do we do until season 2? Oh, let's not think about that yet.
We just keep talking about
this. Hey, they're starting all the pre-planning for season 2 today, so yeah, it's going to come sometime. There'll be a little gap, but it'll come.
I know.
I'm going to tell you right now, there is new Star Trek Discovery coming before episode 10. and that's in the comics.
Oh, yes.
True.
I pre-ordered those. So I
Just
did.
a couple weeks it comes out, right? Right.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, in just a couple weeks. So get ready for it. That'll be your fix to get you through December.
And that's the Takuvma miniseries, right? Or at least that's what they've said. Yeah. That'll be cool.
Klingon-centric, yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, speaking of Klingons, how fun was it to hear Cole speaking English because of the Universal Translator? That dude playing Cole, you would never look at that guy and say, oh yeah, he plays a Klingon, because he just looks like the nicest guy.
He does, but I saw him at Star Trek Las Vegas, and when he gets into that character, and he starts speaking Klingon, or he actually, like, at Star Trek Las Vegas, 3 months ago, he gave us one of the lines that was in this episode.
That's right.
Yeah, it was the one, like, about the Universal Translator, like, this, I just see this as another attempt to rob us of our identity. And he gave it like in the same cadence as in the episode. And when I heard that, I was like, wow, what's that going to be about? But he is really something. Ken Mitchell's
He's
amazing.
like, identity.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's amazing. And Mary Chieffo, dang girl. She's just, again, one of those people that is just, when she speaks Klingon, it's just so fluid. Mm-hmm. And I know she studies the heck out of it, and she's always got her Klingon dictionary with her, etc. I know all of those things, but even so, it's just so, she's my favorite person to listen to speak Klingon. It's like, yes, please just keep talking, honey, keep talking. I love it. And it's with the bizarre pronunciations in the Klingon language, that is really difficult to do. And she just, for me, just makes it seamless. She makes it seem like it's completely effortless for her. Like she's just a Klingon.
And the dedication that they have, like Ken Mitchell was saying that he would be saying his lines over and over and over again, like 8 hours a day for like weeks before they need to be said in the episode. And that's incredible, the dedication.
Yeah. And he's the one who played Cole, yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it obviously paid off. Obviously, because I did see the sweetest picture on Mary Chieffo's Twitter account where she and Mitchell were still in their full Klingon makeup and costumes, and she had her head leaning against him and he had his arm around her.
It was so sweet.
Yeah, she's like, even Klingons need hugs. And I was like, oh, I want to keep this forever in my heart.
I want a Klingon plush doll so I can hug and squeeze it.
I would want like a bigger one, though. It's got to be big enough for me to really put my arms around, because, just like a little 12-inch doll ain't going to cut it for me.
No. No, it's not. And it can't be too soft, because Klingons aren't that soft.
No. You want the full Klingon experience, so it can't be too soft. Oh, so yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm looking at the chat here. You want to know what some people are saying?
Yes, let's go in there.
Okay. I just wanted to ask, just to make sure, to see if you really wanted to. But anyway, we have Little Green Neighbor again. I had a discussion with two of my friends. They actually believe that Stamets wanted to disappear and manipulated the jump because that kiss felt so final. See, I wondered that too.
And
but I think you're right about Lorca.
But is it possible that in a scene that we didn't see, that he and Lorca had some kind of agreement about this?
It could be. Right. They both could be in on this. One last jump? Yeah, one last jump. Let's go talk about it in the mess hall.
Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Tara thinks that Lorca wants to find his old ship and crew. That maybe that's why he's diverting the ship somewhere, maybe to another dimension where they survive.
And to bring them back? Ooh, that would be...
Yeah.
How would they bring them back, though?
Bring them into a different dimension.
Do another weird jump.
Yeah.
Yeah, but how is that going to get the... I mean, if you're just going with the people, okay, transfer them all to the Discovery, but that ship ain't going anywhere without a spore drive of its own, so...
So they settle in the other universe. They find all the parts that they need. They test it. They install it on the other... No. I don't know. But, yeah, who knows where they've I mean, I think it's pretty clear they've ended up in some kind of alternate universe of some sort, but we just don't know what's going on there. And this is kind of new territory, I think, to have like an entire, like our entire main like hero ship go into like an alternate universe. Because usually it's like a few people, like in the original series and Deep Space Nine, and right, never had like a whole ship or a whole station go in there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Bruce
I
is
think
thinking.
you might be right. I hadn't thought about that. Well, because I read so much books that I'm like, I know it's happened in the books.
It's happened in the books for sure.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to think, hey, yeah, has it ever happened in an episode? I can't think. If anybody knows, send us something in the chat, because you know what? We're reading it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm qualifying that with the main ship because there have been other ships that have gone into other dimensions, like the, was it the Defiant and the Tholian Web, right?
But, yeah, that
like
would count.
The main ship, you know.
The main ship, the main star of the show. Right. Automated Joy says, so what do you guys think of Paul's new Gary Lockwood eyes?
I knew someone was going to bring in Gary Lockwood. I knew it. I don't know what to think, but when it was during all of the jumps, and he was saying something about, I can see them all now. No, it was after he came out of this final jump. And he said, I can see them all now, all the permutations. And I just thought, he's seeing every reality. He's seeing every permutation on every reality all at once. That's going to blow somebody's brain out. And I don't want it to be Stamets, because I don't want to lose Stamets. I don't want to lose any of them.
And what that thing happened to Gary Mitchell because they went past the galactic barrier or something, right?
Yeah, in the very the second pilot episode of the original series, Where No Man Has Gone Before. Yeah, and that was my first thought too. It's like, is this that same effect that Gary Mitchell had in that episode? Which would be really cool if it is. But weren't his eyes a little more silver?
They were very, very silver, and I can't even imagine how much those contact lenses hurt. I mean, in the late 60s, putting those in your eyes, ooh.
Yeah, and these ones were more like kind of milky something.
Yeah, his milky white eyes.
Ooh.
Yeah. I'm so worried about Stamets.
But you know, when they showed a preview coming up next season, we did see Stamets, you know, like push Colbert away.
He's alive and doing stuff.
Yeah, but he's
he
got some
be a little crazy.
Well, I wasn't worried about him being alive. I figured he would still be alive, but is he still Stamets? I don't know now. Because
maybe not. I don't know.
I don't know.
Or maybe he's like Saru, you know, where it's like Saru kind of became different when he was on Palvo because of the experience he was having. And maybe Stamets is like the same way with his experience with the spore drive.
Oh, conjecture. I just don't know. Because that's the thing. That's the interesting thing, again, about Discovery is that, we can have our theories and all, but we don't really know. Because they've shown us more than once that they are not going to necessarily go the direction we think they're going to go. So,
although we're pretty sure at this point, Tyler is Voq in some form or other, right?
Well, all of the evidence is pointing to that, especially combined with what L'Rell said in the last episode about Voq. You know, Voq was chased away. He's forever gone. Forever gone. Which means if Ash Tyler is Voq, whatever they did to him to make him Ash Tyler is not reversible.
See, but what's unclear to me is if they started with Voq and transformed him into Ash Tyler, or if they started with Ash Tyler, who was captured, and they took some kind of essence of Voq and put that into Tyler. I'm just not sure like which direction it's going.
Oh, see, I thought maybe you were starting to say that they captured Tyler and transferred him into Voq and then transferred him back.
I wasn't going that far, but maybe.
I know you were. Yeah, and while you're saying that, I was like, ooh, that's interesting, because then that would make sense why Voq is from the House of No One.
True.
because he didn't exist before. So he wouldn't have an affiliation with the house. The House of None. That's what it was. The House of None. I don't know. That seems like a stretch.
I don't know, because Voke has been there and around, at least in the background, since the first episode.
Yeah, but prior to that, that he was Tyler. I know that's
elaborate. But I mean, there's clearly something that's going on, because for those flashbacks that Tyler is having, there's these saws and plastic wrap, maybe, I don't know, something weird going on.
Yeah, some really weird stuff. And I watched that really closely the second time. Sorry. I'm sorry, I just laughed. Kurt's Rats Production says L'Oreal Paris Essence of Vogue.
Oh, Dan.
Oh, that was fantastic. Sorry, I read that just as I was saying something, and I had to break off and laugh because it was just...
I was wondering why you're laughing all of a sudden.
That's why. I don't even remember what I was saying, but I remember. I was watching that sequence, those flashback sequences, very, very closely the second time around, and on a bigger screen, and it was still. There's so much information.
It's hard to tell.
So many quick cuts. We did see Klingon female boobs, though. Hello.
I've been waiting for that as long as I've been waiting for a gay kiss.
Anything else on your list, Bruce?
No, but Thad Hate in the chat wants to know what's the deal with the empty shelves in the corner behind you, Justin.
What? You're asking a question about my shelves?
That's what happens on a live show with video.
They're not empty, but see, the thing is, where the shelves are and where my desk is, you can't really see what's going on there, but I guess I can move aside. There's some ships and stuff there.
Oh, there's some. Maybe it's the underside of you. What they're talking about.
Those shelves. Yeah, they used to have some ships that I moved over to this other shelf, and they're going to.
Oh, they changed
more in the future. Station. Yes, they did. But yeah, good call. Nice catch.
Yeah. Let's see. Ion Trone says, "Is there a way to slow motion or frame by frame CBS All Access?" Not to my knowledge.
Oh, I know. I wish you could.
Oh, yeah. They really need a back up and go forward option there, because there is not one.
Well, there is, but it's a little wonky. Like, you can do it, but not be okay. Very. You can do it and get to a certain place, hopefully, but sometimes it has issues getting back to there. But yeah, they need one of those things that you usually see, like go back 15 seconds or something like that, right?
Exactly. And to just go forward or advance 10 or 15 seconds. Every video service has that. Come on.
Well, it depends what device you're using. Like, I can do that on my Apple TV, but not on my Roku.
Yeah, see, and I couldn't do that on my computer. So that's weird. Because you would think of, if anywhere it could be done, it would be on the website, but no.
No, because I was watching, I was doing just that. I would say to my Apple TV, rewind 15 seconds, go forward 30, whatever. But I can't do that on Roku.
It's really annoying.
Or on my Chromecast or on my laptop. I've got so many devices to watch this on.
Yeah. So yeah, Klingon boobs and
we're back to that again. Huh?
Well, it was just
not just the boobs, but the back, like the scales going down here was interesting too.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because we know that Klingons have ridged spines, so that wasn't really a surprise. But
but it was just interesting to see.
You know what? That was a long day in the makeup chair.
Oh my goodness, was it? What a trooper!
Wow. Yeah.
That Mary Chifa, what a trooper she is. So yeah, and this whole thing about how she's saying to him, I won't let them hurt you. And then
what does
everybody
that mean?
She
says soon.
Yeah, she says soon, and I think
you could take it different ways, right? I think there's two different levels. So, like, I think about this sometimes, like, if we weren't in this age where there's all this, connected fandom and we're finding out about all of these theories, would I watch this show, not talking about it with anyone else, and think of this theory that Tyler is Vogue? I don't know if I would, because I tend not to be very bright about those things. But, and then if you don't, you could take it at the level of she took a special interest to him and she still has a special interest in him and all of that. So you could take it at a certain level, but then you could take it at the other level that it's really, Voke, and her special interest is maybe being in love with Voke. I don't know. It's hard to tell if she was just using him for her means or whatever, but I don't know. I mean, so you could take it a couple of different ways, but I mean, the soon I took as soon I'll be able to trigger what your real purpose is, because
That's
seems like
what I thought.
Yeah. Because it seems like she's just been angling to get on Discovery to make that contact. Right?
Obviously, she obviously has been angling on Discovery to get on Discovery. Excuse me.
Well, she barely got on, because if they weren't beaming out and she didn't grab hold of Tyler, she wouldn't have got on the ship and she would have exploded.
See, I think it was part of her plan, though, because I think that at a certain level, she knew that somebody would eventually come to that ship and that they would see there's a human life sign and then come over to that area, and that would be her opportunity. I have to think in some way it might be part of her plan.
I have to agree with that, because to me, looking back on the previous episode, it seemed very obvious that the fight was staged, because basically when they're spotted, L'Rell and Cornwell look at each other, and then there's this pause. Now, that gave Cornwell time to grab a weapon off L'Rell. Now, no self-respecting Klingon is going to let that happen, especially someone like L'Rell. So that was, to me, obviously staged, and that is why I believed she was alive.
And before that, they say to each other, "You're not what I expected. You're not what I expected either," which seemed like it was an agreement. Like, okay, let's see how we can survive this together. You know what I mean? And I think in that moment, for both of them, it's a way of surviving. And they do. They survive where Cole does not.
Yeah, and who I was not expecting. I was not expecting that. I'm like, yeah, well, phew, good thing Burnham got out of there, and well, now they can take care of all the cloaks. And oh wow, they've blown up the ship. Okay, they've blown up the ship. The ship of the dead is gone.
I didn't expect that either.
Whoa.
Me either. Nor did I expect to lose Cole this early.
I didn't either.
No,
and so I'm just and again, I shouldn't have those expectations, because they have proven through many episodes that anybody can die at any time. So
yes. I know, because I went into the season thinking Cole was the main baddie that we'd have to deal with.
Well, just like we thought Takuma would be the main baddie, and he was gone at the end of the second episode. So it's like, and of course the question is, okay, Cole was kind of becoming the leader of the Klingon Empire. What's going to happen to them now? Who's going to be the leader?
Exactly. That's what I'm wondering. Is it Core? Could we be getting Core, since Cole was part of the House of Core?
Ooh.
Maybe.
I don't know. I can't think of anybody else who it would be.
See, I like, well, so one Klingon that made an impression was Danos, the female Klingon with all the jewelry.
Mm-hmm, yes.
I'd like to see her in, a fight for power with L'Rell or somebody else. I don't know. Well, L'Rell's going to go over to wherever they're going, but later down the line.
Yes. Speaking of fight, pretty impressive. Burnham taking on Cole there.
Oh, that's
yes. Oh, so good. So good. I was thinking, oh yeah, this is what I wanted to see, and I didn't even know it. So yeah, she was just, man, that tiny thing fighting that big Klingon, and she was doing well. I mean, she got wailed on a bit, but honestly, I'm sure everyone else expected her to die within seconds, as far as the Klingons witnessing the fight and Cole. So, but she just kept getting up, and she took out his leg, and I was
Vulcan training, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, exactly. She was able to push all of the pain down so that she wasn't panicking, and then just focus on the task at hand and go for the weak spots, because that's what you do when you're a smaller person fighting a larger person, is you go for the legs. Sweep the leg, Johnny. Sweep the leg.
Yeah. And she stabbed him in the leg. He's like, "Argh!" And I thought, oh, now she's going to kill him. But it didn't happen yet.
No, because she did hear the communication come in that stand by for transport. And she grabs Giorgio's badge and she jumps off. Oh, I will never get sick of watching that. over and over again.
That was a great scene.
It's like, burn them out. So it's just,
I was a little disappointed because then after she got on the bridge and she had that moment where she and Saru were just looking at each other and he's giving her a look of, that he's very proud of what she did or whatever. And I was hoping she'd walk over to him and just show him the badge, but she didn't. She was holding it, but she didn't show it to Saru.
Well, she was processing a lot in that moment because she's watching this ship go down and she is processing the fact that she got out of there alive. She's trying to process what happened with Ash.
But I don't know if she even needed to do that, because the look I saw between Saru and Burnham was Saru saying, "You have redeemed yourself for causing your captain to be killed." So
yes. All the more reason she should have showed him the badge then. We really just cap that off.
He already has the telescope.
Yeah, exactly. I was just going to say that. You're reading my mind, Justin. Reading my mind.
Yeah, but to bring the badge back.
She gets the badge. They each get a memento.
Well, I'm not saying she had to give it to him to keep, but just to show that, in the redemption, she was able to bring Giorgio back.
Well, maybe she will in the next episode, and we just don't know it because there was a lot of things going on at once.
Or in a book or comic, which we'll cover on Literary Treks if that were to happen.
Fantastic. I can't wait.
There you go, Dan. I plugged the show.
Good times, good times. Interesting. Automated Joy says, maybe both theories are true. Maybe Tyler is Vogue, and after he was transformed to a human, she tortured and sexually used him. Laurel tries to trigger him to awaken Vogue. Tyler will remember the abuse and remain. And it just, I think that there was more to that comment.
So they're saying that Vogue gets transformed into Tyler and then she abuses him, and wow. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure where to go with this yet because there are still too many unconfirmed things.
Because the way that I was thinking about it was he was actually remembering the relationship that Vogue and Laurel had, but through that prism of him being human and thinking that it was abuse. I don't know though. It's a little hard to sort out, and we'll need to wait, I think, because I'm still trying to work it out in my mind, what's really going on.
Yeah, and I'm kind of at the point where I can work it out to a degree, and then I realize, oh yeah, no matter what I think, they're going to surprise me anyway, so maybe I'll just wait and see. I don't know, but I was surprised that they gave us all of that flashback information in the way that they did it, because I didn't expect them to muddy the waters that much more with this even greater possibility that Vogue is somehow Tyler.
Mm-hmm.
So it's muddy waters. Excuse me.
It is. I'm just amazed that I just found out that Amazon is going to do a Lord of the Rings TV series. That's freaking me out right now.
They're what?
Yeah, I was just reading. Someone just tweeted to me that Amazon is doing a Lord of the Rings TV series. But I know that's not what the show is about, but that distracted me for a moment.
Focus, Bruce.
Yeah.
Focus.
Yeah. It's, yeah.
So I have a question for you guys. Okay. So, I tweeted out earlier today that image or the screenshot that says Lorca's overriding things. And I asked people what's going on? And a bunch of responses were, he's going home to the mirror universe where he's from. Do you guys think that there's anything to that? To him actually somehow being from the mirror universe?
I heard that theory early on. I don't think that Lorca is from the mirror universe.
There's one thing that's not explained though. So when Cornwell saw Lorca, was in bed with him and saw these scars, there was this triangular scar and all of this stuff going on, which I think made some people think of some of, the torture that might go on in the mirror universe, but that's the only thing I can think of as some kind of evidence.
And I'll throw this out, and this pertains to a different theory I gave that I was somewhat joking about, but again, we've learned that Lorca's ship, his original ship was destroyed and he left, and the captain didn't go down with his ship. And it could be that he did, and Lorca in this universe died, but the Lorca from the mirror universe came over and replaced him, and just stated that he didn't go down with the ship, that he actually left it.
Ooh, and of course, our friend Kurt Ratz, excuse me, says he did ominously say, "Let's go home," just as he put in the override. Dun, dun, dun.
But I just don't feel like Lorca comes across as a mirror universe character. If you go with what we know of the mirror universe, especially what we saw in TOS, it's like they're very opposite evil for the most part, except for maybe
Except
Spock.
for O'Brien. O'Brien's kind of nice.
Yeah, O'Brien's okay. Wait, what was his nickname on that? Skippy?
Smiley.
Smiley. Yeah, it's a Smiley. But Lorca, I don't know. I don't feel like he's a baddie in a sense, you know. But I don't know.
It takes all kinds to make a universe. They can't be all bad over there.
Right.
No, it's true. It's true. Just because we saw one evil mirror universe, it's unlikely that all of them would be that way, because there are innumerable alternate realities. So we already covered that. Quantum physics.
And in the comic Mirror Broken, the Next Generation characters aren't necessarily portrayed as being bad. They're more like their Prime Universe selves. They're just in this situation.
Just shaped by their circumstances, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So Lorca could be shaped by the circumstances he has in the Mirror Universe, and for some reason found out, or for whatever reason decided he had to come to the Prime Universe to eventually get the discovery to bring back to his universe to accomplish something he needs to do.
Interesting.
I don't know. All these questions we won't know the answer to for months.
Well, and in the chat room, Tara Steiner says there's nothing about his character that could not be explained by his PTSD.
Absolutely. Which is one reason I don't think he's from the Mirror Universe. But then I change my mind every day. So
I tend not to think so, but I don't know.
My personal feeling was that he was just as baffled by their destination as anyone else. And he was like, okay, where are we? Come on, where are we, number one? What's going on?
Well, the way that I took that, based on he's making this deliberate override, is he's trying to get them to a certain place, but something really does go wrong in Stamets trying to do that, and they don't get to where he wants to go. So I think he is genuinely surprised. I think he's trying to take them someplace other than Starbase 46, but it goes wrong, and they go someplace he has no idea. I think he is just as surprised.
Yeah, I agree with that. So I just...
And all the debris.
All the debris. And he even asked, is that Klingon? We don't even know for sure what kind of wreckage that is, or of what. And of course, my husband...
What captain is it that's leaving debris and not destroying the ship completely?
Right? But my husband Dave said, oh, they're in the Delta Quadrant, because of course you're going to make that joke.
Yeah. I kind of thought about that, but I don't think so.
Why not the Gamma Quadrant? Or is there a Theta Quadrant? I mean, come on. We got a lot of more Greek letters.
See,
maybe they went to the Delta Quadrant in the future and run into Voyager.
I mean, if we're to go along with crossing the galactic barrier, maybe they're even in a different galaxy. We don't know.
Oh, that's what I hope. That's my hope. See, and anytime anybody would say to me, if they made another Star Trek series, what would you want it to be about? And I always said, I want to see them go into a different galaxy.
Yeah.
Beyond ours.
I feel the same way.
Yeah.
That'd be very interesting.
Cool. Therefore, that explains the Gary Mitchell eyes, maybe.
Maybe.
It could. It could. Oh, so many questions.
We just don't know.
Very few answers. I'm so looking forward to when it comes back. And maybe some of these questions will be answered. I don't know. Because sometimes they don't answer questions for a few episodes, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and knowing that they have season 2, maybe they'll hold off on some too.
I think they've got to have some kind of cliffhanger or something to keep people talking about it until season 2.
Yeah, I think so. Because there's a lot to dissect in this episode, and we probably haven't covered even half of it.
I have probably 40 things in my notes we haven't talked about. So.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh well, let's do number 29 in your notes.
Do you want me to just pick at random number 29? Let's see.
Yeah, just pick a random. I want to know what he's got in his notes there.
Well, it's not number 29, but hey, I liked seeing Discovery at Warp and not just Spore Jump.
Oh my gosh. I was actually going to say the thing I have in my notes that we haven't covered is, the Warp Drive and then going into Spore Drive from Warp Drive.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah. That was pretty impressive. And I didn't think that they could do that, but obviously they can. Yeah, Spore Drive works whether you're in warp or not.
See, the other thing is, I don't know if before we had seen them do a spore jump while you're like looking on the bridge and they're looking like out the window. And I was like, will it look like it's tilting over? What? It just looks like there's some light passing over. And I think they have just some crazy inertial dampers that keep them kind of level while it's corkscrewing around, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, it's they're impressive inertial dampers because I would be throwing up in a bucket if I were on that. I used to
And
not
Odo
have,
would say, "Hey, that's my bed. Don't throw up in that bucket."
I just I didn't used to get motion sick until I got old, and then I can't do things that spin around anymore. I can't even do Star Tours at Disneyland more than once now. So yeah, if I were on a spaceship and it was doing that and there were not dampeners, I would probably just be on the floor, just vomit dribbling out of my mouth,
Okay.
Yeah, it would be. I know that's something you don't want to hear about or see. I apologize for bringing it up.
For some reason, we lost our listeners in YouTube after that comment. That's really odd.
That was not what happened.
So Bruce,
I think
one thing I want to make sure to mention is when Lorca is talking to Stamets about all the data that he's gathered and all the different alternate dimensions or whatever, and he says you choose to go where no one has gone before.
Mm-hmm.
I just loved hearing that.
I loved hearing that too. And it's interesting, that whole map that they're looking at all the different dimensions and stuff. There's an image there that almost looks like the Death Star from Star Wars.
Oh, really?
It's a circle with another little circle in it. I was like, I don't think it's supposed to be the Death Star, but it made me wonder if the artist put those circles in that place to little Easter egg Death Star.
I saw that too, and I thought the same thing. And another thing I really liked is the sound of the photon torpedoes sounded very TOS there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That very TOS sound that just brought me joy.
Yeah, and the bing on the bridge near the beginning, there was this pause and no one saying anything. You just hear the boing in the background. I was like, it feels like TOS. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the sounds of the doors as Lorca comes into sick bay to find out what's going on with Stamets, and just good times. Cadet Decker.
Yeah, got that. Report to the ready room.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, there were some great references in there.
Yeah, they definitely doffed their cap at many a TOS thing, which is perfectly wonderful for me. So
Bruce, we've heard a lot of stuff from the chat. Were there any tweets that we got?
No one. This is the first time no one has tweeted us.
They just all figured out the fun is in the YouTube chat, I guess.
It is really the YouTube chat where the fun is, because you get to interact with everybody, and but yeah, usually we get some tweets, but this time we didn't. Really strange. So,
well, if they all come over to the YouTube chat, that's actually just one less thing we have to monitor. So yeah, come on over to the YouTube chat. Watch us live. It'll be fun.
So do you think the Cadet Decker shout out that we heard, is that Cadet Decker from the Prime universe or the Mirror universe? I'm kidding.
For heaven's sake. Oh, talk about something that does not need to be discussed.
Prime, it's settled.
There we go. Prime. That's the final word.
Next question.
So Stamets has implied that he's seen the future and alternative ones at that. Is he just as implicit as Lorca, knowing where and what one last time will end up? From Stuart Davies.
Maybe.
Oh, I
You know,
don't know.
like if you think about it, Lorca is supposed to get this Legion of Honor medal, and he says to Stamets, "You know what? You did a great job. Have this medal." I don't know. Maybe like we were saying before, maybe there's some kind of understanding that they come to.
Yeah, have
I don't
this
know.
medal, but oops, we went to another universe. Sorry, you're not getting it.
Yeah, he hasn't gotten it yet.
I just don't know, because you're right, that look that he gives, that Stamets gives Culber right before he does the jump, it can be interpreted in more than one way. And if it was this thing where he's just like, I'm really sorry about what I'm about to do, or is it, we're finally going to have some time together, let's go to La Boheme? You know, I don't know which one it is. Either way, it was a look of love, but I don't know which way to interpret it.
That's how I feel in my life sometimes when my wife looks at me. I don't know if it's with love or I don't know how to interpret it sometimes.
Does she watch these things, Bruce?
Does she watch Discovery?
No, this right now.
No, she doesn't watch this. So this is my safe zone.
I see. We won't say anything.
But then again, this is out there forever. So like 10, 20 years from now, she could be watching this.
Yeah. So, yeah. Is there anything else that you want to bring up from your list of notes, Justin?
Yeah, we only have a few more minutes left.
Let me think about that.
I like the universal translator while you're looking.
I like the universal translator as well, that you can hear, she's hearing things in English and they're hearing it back in Klingon. I like that, which I think we've only seen something like that before in Beyond, right?
Right.
Where you kind of hear both at the same time. I like that quite a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, that was
we
very
got a tweet.
What?
We just got her tweet.
Better
From
make
Holback R, who Renee, we've heard from Renee before on Twitter the last few times. So what happened to the Pavon? Is it the Pavons?
The Pavons.
Pavons. The Pavons. They called the Klingons and the Federation both showed up, and the Pavons did nothing.
They're not the Organians.
Right.
They're just like, hey, you know, guys, we'll call you here. You can work it out. If it turns out that one of the ships is destroyed and another one goes elsewhere, that's cool. I mean,
well, hey, we achieved our goal. Resulted in a lot of deaths, but hey, they're not fighting.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it is something that got a bit lost, but
True.
Oh, one thing that I did want to mention was about Starbase 46. We talked about this before we were on, actually, that I felt like it was a subtle reference to Starbase 47, which is in the Vanguard books, which take place about 10 years after this. So I don't know if that was their intention. But
I thought the same thing. I'm glad they didn't say Starbase 47 because the Vanguard station doesn't get built till later. And so we shouldn't have a Starbase 47 if you're following the continuity of those books. Or you could have, and then it got destroyed and they built another Starbase 47.
There's always a way around it. But I like that it was kind of a subtle nod to respecting that.
And we've seen a Starbase image in TOS when they remastered them that looks like Starbase 47 from the novels, but it wasn't that Starbase.
Huh.
And I can't remember which episode of TOS they did it in, but yeah, it was a nod to the series of Vanguard in the reboot.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, check that out. You'll like it.
Oh, one other quick thing. So they were actually giving an explanation here for how the Klingon cloaking device works, that it's generating a gravitational field that bends, I guess, light or radiation or however you're trying to sense the ship around it. I don't know if we've gotten an explanation like that for a cloaking device before, like how it actually works.
I don't think we have. Not that I can recall, but then there are other things, like other books I haven't read. So if it was ever explained in a book, I don't know about it, but I don't recall it ever being explained in any of the series or movies. So
yeah,
I found that
I've
very
heard an
interesting.
explanation, but yeah, I don't remember if we've heard it in a movie or a show before. But I really like that part too. Yeah, that. Yeah.
Well, it actually
Oh,
made scientific sense, you know?
Mhm.
Kurt
Yeah.
Tratt says that it was the episode "The Ultimate Computer" where we see the Vanguard-looking station.
Hmm.
Thank you, Dan.
Oh, thanks, Dan. So yeah.
So we're at the end.
We're at
unless
the
we have
end.
anything else.
No, but let's do final thoughts. Justin, why don't you go first? What are your final thoughts about this episode?
Well, I thought this was a really great mid-season finale. I'm really glad that they decided to change the order so that last week's wasn't the mid-season finale and this week's was. There was, action and intrigue and romance and intensity and all kinds of crazy stuff going on, and we don't know where it's going. So, I guess the only thing I'll say as a final thought is, wow. I think this is the best Discovery episode yet, and it makes me really excited for what's coming next.
Now, what was your favorite episode prior to this?
Prior to this, it was Lethe. I really like Lethe a lot, but this eclipses that.
Mm-hmm. Very good. I agree with what you said about saving this episode to be the mid-season finale. This played a lot better than last one to end with, especially because we're going to this different universe. It kind of ends with okay, where are they and what's going to happen next situation. And I really enjoyed that.
I want to know who we can thank for making that change and that decision, because it was definitely worth it.
Yeah, but who made the decision originally not to do that? Who made the decision to end with 8? Or was that just a random?
I think they were just splitting it in half.
I think CBS just said, "Oh, we'll just split here," and then all of a sudden the producers are like, "That won't really work, and it doesn't really make sense."
That could be. Yeah.
But I really like this episode. I think a big shout out to the director, Chris Byrne. I thought the directing was fabulous, and the two writers of this episode, who I can't remember their names,
Bo Yeon Kim and Erica Leopold. They did a great job. Yeah.
Awesome job. I'm looking forward to their next ones. Brandi, what do you think?
Oh my goodness. This episode gave me all of the emotions that it ran the gamut for me. Surprise, tenderness, stress, tense. I felt everything in this episode. I don't know how they could have done a better fall finale. It's difficult for me to pick a favorite of anything. So I won't say this is my favorite episode, because I feel that the episode is just part of a greater whole, and I just have loved the whole season so far. And I want more. I'm so glad that Cornwell's alive. I want to see more of Jane Brooke. And keep surprising me, Discovery. Keep surprising me, because it's hard to do. I'm old and jaded, and I've watched a lot of television and read a lot of books. So if you can surprise me, that is a special, special thing. So,
but they're doing a good job of that now.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. So I think it was exquisite, and I can't wait for more.
Yay.
What about you, Bruce? Do you like to rank these things and say which one's your favorite, or not so much?
The way I feel right now is this last episode was my favorite.
Okay. Yeah.
Because this is one where I was really like on this edge of my seat. Literally, I was like leaning forward. I was like, "Oh yeah, whoa," like that.
And from the reaction I've seen online, I think a lot of people feel that way, that this is their favorite or the best one yet.
Yeah.
Yes.
And this is my favorite live from the edge too, because we're talking about that episode.
They're all my favorite. I've enjoyed every single one. Okay, so I guess it's time for me to do my thing that I do. So
yes, until we come back in January. So you're probably going to cry through this.
I'm not. Shut up. I'm not crying. You're crying. Okay, so I'm gonna do my midnight radio voice. So be sure to check out our Discovery coverage throughout the week. Live from the Edge airs on Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern. and will be released as a podcast on Tuesday mornings. Our commentary with Mike Schindler will be available as tracks from The Edge on Wednesday. We'll discuss your feedback on Postcards from the Edge on Thursday, and you can catch the full analysis on the Edge main show on Friday. To wrap up the week, join us for Notes from the Edge on Saturday with our own Chris Jones for leaks between Discovery and the broader franchise. You'll find all of these in the main feed for The Edge and in the Trek.fm master feed. We'd love to hear your thoughts on Discovery. The best place to do that is the Babel Conference, our listeners group on Facebook. There, Amy Nilsson will collect your feedback for Postcards from the Edge. You can also find us on Twitter at TrekFM or send us email using the contact form on our website at trek.fm/contact. Choose to send to a show and choose the Edge. We'd also like to thank our associate producers, Norman C. Lau, Tony Robinson, Thomas Paleo, Lisa Slack, Shoab Mirza, and Richard Rutledge. If you'd like to help us keep all of our shows going and even become an associate producer, visit patreon.com/TrekFM for all the details. It's 6 after the hour, and now we return you to Live from the Edge.
Wow. Can you do that in Cole's voice now?
Oh, I'm going to practice that. I don't know if I can do Cole. I don't know if I can get the right timbre of voice, but I might see.
I think this is how Laurel used to talk to Tyler.
Did you think you could leave me so easily? I won't let them hurt you. Soon. Don't let me keep going, please.
What a way to end the mid-season with this episode.
I hope I didn't scare anybody. Yeah. Anyway, so Justin, tell everybody where we can find you besides guesting here on Live from the Edge.
Well, you can find me co-hosting Earl Grey. That's our Next Generation podcast on Trek FM with Amy Nelson and Richard Marquez. We have a great time every week talking about the Next Generation. And you can find me on Twitter. I'm at TrekFan4747, where I tweet about nothing but Star Trek, and currently tweeting out my Season 4 rewatch of The Next Generation. And I like to tweet about Discovery a lot. And you can find me hanging around our listeners group, the Babel Conference, on Facebook.
Excellent. Bruce, where can people find you?
Well, you can find me online on Twitter. I'm not going to go through the whole thing like that. No.
Come on, Cole voice.
You can find me on Twitter at Admiral_Rex.
Pretty good.
Admiral_Rex, and you can find me talking Star Wars on the Star Wars Report podcast at StarWarsReport.com. And I just want to mention that we have our daily show, which has started up that leads into The Last Jedi. It's called Star Wars Tonight. Look for that podcast. We do it live, usually at 8 p.m. Eastern every weekday. I think it's just Monday through Thursdays. I'm not on those episodes that often, but I will be occasionally. So check that out. And of course, you can find me here on the network talking about the books and comics with Dan Gunther on Literary Treks. And of course, I'm always in the Babel Conference, like Brandi is, right?
Yes, I am often lurking in there. I don't comment as much as I used to because I feel like, I got to save that for the live show. But once we've done the live show, then I jump in. So you can always find me there. And I am also on Twitter as BrandyWine12. That's Brandi with an I and wine also with an I. And also I have a podcast with my husband called the Dark Corner Podcast, where we talk about basically whatever we want, but we look at life through more of a darker lens. And I swear like a sailor, so really not for kids or people who don't like swearing. So is that it?
But then we're going to see, we may pop up occasionally between now and January on the regular show of The Edge. So
we will. So yeah, but it's just, I've gotten so used to doing this every Monday night.
Well, maybe we'll surprise everyone some Monday night. And we can just talk about the last 9 episodes in one episode. I don't know. I'm just throwing out an idea.
Strokey beard. Except I don't have a beard. So, but the motion of stroking a beard. That works. I guess that there's only a couple of things left to say, which is keep calm and disco on. And live long and prosper. I'll miss you guys.
I miss you.
Okay, stop. I'm not crying. You're crying. Stop it.
I'm not crying. You're crying.
Stop it. Anyway, thanks to everyone who joined us in the web chat and the one person who tweeted at us. We love you. And this, of course, will be out on Tuesday morning as a podcast. So
yes. And thanks everyone for keeping up with us for the last 8 weeks.
Yes. And I'm sorry that we couldn't focus on every comment in the chat room, but you guys were having a great conversation all on your own there. So well done, you guys. And I hope the newcomers come back and join us again. And we'll see you on January 8th. So.
Wait, I just have to mention Frosty Winnipeg's comment, 7 weeks off and 7 seasons of the Golden Girls. It'll work out.
Excellent. Excellent.
Brandi, thank you for being a friend.
Oh, traveling down the road and back again. I'm fine. Okay, really, I'm going to stop this now. So again,
we're done.
Thank you, Justin, and thank
Yes.
you, Bruce. And we'll see you guys in January.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.